What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below as new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Subscribing is completely free to do so. I will keep you up to date here. And also, thanks for hitting the like button for us down below. Also, I'm giving away $1,000 to our viewers here in total here with our What's in the Box contest, and we will be announcing the winners here soon. So you can still guess at this point. You can go back and watch the previous videos here to see the clues. So stay tuned for that. There's a lot of controversial things going on here with both Republicans and Democrats right now. There's no short of controversy. We'll start with this one. Check this out. There's new information coming out that the call logs from January 6th, there's a 7-hour gap missing from the White House when former President Donald Trump was president. And they're trying to figure out the data on this. Here's a quick video clip kind of describing this. Check this out.
7 hours and 37 minutes on January 6th. That is the time gap in former President Trump's call logs from the day of the U.S. Capitol attack. This according to documents given to the January 6th committee and obtained by the Washington Post. We should note CNN first reported a significant gap in these presidential call records back in February. Sources also tell the Post the committee is now investigating whether Trump communicated that day instead through back channels, potentially using phones that belong to aides or even burner phones. CNN law enforcement correspondent Whitney Wild, she's been following the story for us. Whitney, this is an incredible gap, hours on an incredible day that seems to violate presidential record laws here. What do we know?
Well, Jim, the committee's trying to figure out if they got everything because, as you point out, the gaps are just so obvious. The last call is recorded at 11:17, and it's to an unidentified person, extremely vague. The next call recorded occurred at 6:54 p.m. to Dan Scavino. It has been widely reported that Trump did speak to lawmakers that day as this riot unfolded. Among them, Senators Mike Lee, Tommy Tuberville, Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Another major call missing from this log is his last call with former Vice President Mike Pence, in which he is accused of trying once again this last-ditch effort to try to pressure Pence to overturn the election results. And during that call, Pence said finally it just could not be done. He would not do it. According to the Washington Post, there are logs of Trump speaking with top allies such as Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani prior to the riot, attempting to contact Senators David Perdue, Mitch McConnell, and Josh Hawley prior to the riot. After the attack, he's shown speaking with White House counsel Pat Cipollone, campaign advisor Jason Miller, White House press secretary Kayleigh McEnany. Jim, this comes on the heels of an explosive court ruling yesterday in which a judge in California said plainly it is more likely than not that the former president did commit a crime when he tried to overturn the election. So certainly a lot of questions going on. The main questions, Jim, where are those call logs? Why were they not recorded?
Yeah, it's a good point, too.
Yeah, so I showed that clip from CNN. You know, I typically don't show clips from Fox News or CNN if they're politically biased. And the reason I showed that is because it explained the situation and there was no bias in there. They were literally just explaining the details. So remember, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, but that was the best clip that just kind of showed the details of what's going on here with the latest information on that. You can let me know your thoughts here on the details of this. And it's crazy that they're still getting new details on January 6th, years later, months later. It's unbelievable, to be honest. So you can let me know your thoughts here on this. Also, well, we'll start with this next here. According to a recent poll yesterday, former President Donald Trump is actually leading President Biden and Vice President Harris, if the 2024 presidential election were to happen today and Trump and Biden were to both rerun for election here in the next presidential election. Here is what the latest poll says here, and you can let me know your thoughts on this. In the hypothetical 2024 matchup, according to a new Harvard Caps Harris poll survey released exclusively to The Hill on Monday, if in the 2024 presidential election were to be held right now, the poll finds that Trump would get 47% support compared to 41% for Biden. 12% of voters are undecided. So, if right now it was Trump versus Biden for re-election, Trump would win, according to this poll. According to this poll, 12% of voters are undecided. Vice President Kamala Harris, if she were to run and Joe Biden were to not run for whatever reason, age, health, he decides not to run. Vice President Kamala Harris performs even worse in the hypothetical match with Trump. 49% said they would choose Trump, while 38% said they would choose Vice President Kamala Harris. The poll, while very early, portends trouble for Democrats in their 2024 effort to maintain control of the White House after taking it back less than 2 years ago. Now, remember, there is the midterm elections coming up, but that's for the House, the Senate, and for governors, state governors. Also, my friend here wants to say hi to you, who crawled on my lap while I'm filming here. This is our new little kitten who looks like a little teddy bear. Yeah, we haven't decided a name on him yet, though. Yeah. If Biden chose not to run in 2024, Democrats may face some challenges. If Kamala Harris runs against the next most likely Republican challenger, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a current favorite for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. It actually says in this scenario, Vice President Kamala Harris is leading based on this poll with 40% support for Kamala Harris to DeSantis's 38% support. And former Vice President Mike Pence and DeSantis are statistically tied for second place in the event that Trump doesn't run again. However, DeSantis supplants Pence as the favorite in that scenario. But we will see. Republican Senator Mitt Romney, who leans towards the middle, is a moderate Republican, had some interesting things to say about Trump here as well today. Check this out.
Whether we're going to return to the, if you will, the policies that we've had for the last 70 years, or whether we're instead going to take the turn that Donald Trump represented. If he were to come back as the U.S. president, I think it would represent a pretty dramatic departure for the world, and they would rethink whether they can count on the United States.
Yeah, so Republican Senator Mitt Romney says that NATO, which is the North American Treaty Organization, which is what we're, a major thing right now. There's 30 different countries in that, most of Europe and the United States, and this is a huge major thing right now because if Putin and Russia attacks any country in NATO, it's a declaration of war against all the countries in NATO, including the United States. And it's a major thing because it protects all the countries in NATO and the world. And it's a huge part of defense for the world against countries like Russia and North Korea and even China, right? It protects us in a World War III event. Romney says that NATO would rethink the U.S. relationship if Trump wins in 2024. This has become because Trump criticized NATO multiple times when he was president. That's not really an opinion. That's kind of a fact. I'm not really throwing an opinion here. Here's what it says. Republican Senator Mitt Romney said Tuesday in a CNN interview that if former President Donald Trump won the 2024 election, the NATO alliance would be significantly damaged. Romney, who was a 2012 Republican presidential nominee, said NATO members would wonder whether they could continue to count on the United States. Romney says, quote, if he were to come back as U.S. president, I think it would represent a pretty dramatic departure for the world, and they would rethink whether they can count on the United States to lead NATO, to lead other nations as they push back against China and against Russia. Republican Senator Mitt Romney said here today or yesterday. You can see here during his presidency, Trump downplayed the U.S. commitment to NATO and publicly criticized the NATO alliance, primarily over the perception that member states were not contributing enough financial support. He also flirted with the idea of withdrawing the U.S. from NATO, according to the former National Security Advisor John Bolton. In a second Trump term, quote, I think he may well have withdrawn from NATO, Bolton told the Washington Post in early March. Quote, and I think Russian President Vladimir Putin was waiting for that, Bolton said. However, Trump does say in his defense, he says, quote, I hope everyone is able to remember that it was me as president of the United States that got delinquent NATO members to start paying their dues, which amounts to hundreds of billions of dollars, the former president said in a written statement. There would be no NATO if I didn't act strongly and swiftly. I don't know if there would be no NATO, but he says he got some people or some countries to start paying their dues. So you can let me know your thoughts here, whether you're Republican, Democrat, in between, independent, or you vote different ways. What your thoughts here on all this? Like I said, there's a lot of political controversy going on here at the moment. Of course, we're also dealing with the war. Russia says that they're pulling their troops back, but in all reality, they're not. They've said this multiple times here in the past, and every time it's basically a lie. And honestly, at this point, who could trust Putin? It's just it's almost like it's despicable, to be honest, how they could just lie to the world over and over and over and then expect us to trust them. It's like it's despicable, to be honest. And then yeah. Going back to Mitt Romney here for a second, he actually is negotiating right now with the Democrats to gain support for his version of the child tax credits, which is just one of the things on one of the stimulus provisions on the table right now to restart the monthly child tax credits. Of course, if you've been watching my channel, we know we got a lot of different things on the table right now. We have stimulus checks for inflation right now from the federal government. For monthly checks and for possibly just a flat out one-time check, as well as state stimulus checks. We have actually some states that have actually passed that and that are going to be coming out here soon. And we have the child tax credits, which have really been stalled. January, February, and March payments have not gone out now. And Republican Senator Mitt Romney has kind of stepped up on the Republican side to try to get those going here. And he's one of the few Republicans that have actually kind of stepped up, because remember, the Democrats are in power in the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And Mitt Romney has stepped up to provide at least $3,000 per child. It would be $3,000 per child for ages 6 through 17 and $4,200 for children under the age of 6 It would actually be more money than the Democrats had proposed here. So that would be $350 per month instead of $300 per month for children under the age of 6. So it would actually be more money for children under the age of 6. So there are some changes that he made to his previous bill. It would have a work requirement because there's a lot of Republicans. So his previous bill didn't have that, but his new bill has that, mostly because other Republicans want it. Other Republicans want it. And if they do a standalone bill in the Senate, remember, Democrats can pretty much pass anything in the House on their own. But if you want to pass a bill in the Senate and not go through the reconciliation bill, you need 60 votes in the Senate. So whether that's 50 Democrats and 10 Republicans, or a mix of maybe you lose some Democrats but you gain some Republicans and you get 40-20 or something along those lines. Republicans want work requirements. They want to see some people working to get monthly child tax credits. So at least the current version of the bill is. So, but it would provide more money, at least for children under the age of 6, and that is the partial negotiation right now. It would also probably lower the income threshold. I don't know if it would go as low as what Joe Manchin had proposed before, which was what was that? It was $60,000 for a married couple, which is really, really low. That's only $30,000 each per person. That's actually below the median income. So that's really, really low, especially with inflation nowadays. I don't think it's going to go that low, to be honest. I mean, we shouldn't be going below the average income here in the United States. I mean, if you really look at that, let me see here. That's only like $14 an hour. So at 40 hours a week. So, and remember, some states have already passed $15 an hour minimum wage. So at some places that would be less than minimum wage at $40, 40 hours a week. So I just don't think that that's going to fly. Uh, Sometimes Joe Manchin just has some ridiculous demands, for lack of a better for lack of a better politically correct or politically incorrect line of thinking here, just off the cuff. I mean, if it's literally less than minimum wage in some states, how can you demand that they make less than minimum wage? Now, it's not less than the federal minimum wage, but some states do already have bills passed for $15 an hour minimum wage that are going to be enacted, like Florida, here in the next few years. So I mean, let's be realistic here. So now work requirements are a different story, but child tax credits are really just one of the things going on here. And then we also have a brand new bill that was just proposed for $1,000, $500 and $1,000 stimulus checks here as well. And we have multiple different states that have just announced stimulus checks here as well. I'm going to keep you up to date here with everything here. I just launched a new video here with $1,000 stimulus checks here as well. I'll link you to that video here as well. So make sure you subscribe down below. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's completely free to subscribe. This way, YouTube will recommend you our videos and you won't miss out. Remember those times for the so you don't miss out on new videos. After subscribing, click the bell icon so you really don't miss out on new videos. You can click here to watch my newest video next. This top video is about the $1,000 stimulus checks that were just proposed. And this bottom video here goes over the state stimulus checks and the other stimulus checks that were just announced here as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.